Japan's food culture isn't just ahead of the rest of the world. It's ahead, in a way, the rest of the world hasn't even started competing with yet. Chocolate so fresh, it carries an expiry date 2 weeks from now. A strawberry bread to be sweeter by removing its own color. Eel served 3 completely different ways in a single sitting because one way wasn't enough. Japan doesn't just make food better. It makes food that makes you quietly furious you ever ate anything else. Today we're counting down 21 Japanese food ideas that are so good they should be illegal. Watch until the end, because number 9 is a creamy, melt-in-your-mouth delicacy served at Tokyo's finest restaurants for thousands of yen per plate. And most people who love it have already finished eating before anyone tells them what it actually is. Number 1, Royce's Nama chocolate. Most chocolate is engineered to survive 6 months on a shelf. Royce's Nama chocolate is engineered to do the opposite. Nama means fresh in Japanese, and the product earns the name. Each square is made from 47% fresh Hokkaido cream combined with premium couverture, giving it a fat and moisture content so high it starts to degrade within 2 weeks without refrigeration. Royce's sets the melt point at approximately 31 degrees Celsius, just below the surface temperature of your tongue. So each square begins dissolving the instant it makes contact. No chewing, no texture resistance, just immediate, complete dissolution. The refrigerated box comes dusted in cocoa powder. You open it, pick one up, and it's gone before you've registered the decision to eat it. The chocolate you bought at the airport was designed for logistics. Royce Nama was designed for the half a second between your tongue and the roof of your mouth. Number 2, Tamago Sando. An egg salad sandwich is the least glamorous thing you can order. Japan studied the problem for 4 decades and produced something people fly home thinking about. The 7-Eleven Japan Tamago Sando uses Kewpie mayo as its base. Kewpie is made from egg yolks only, not whole eggs, with rice vinegar replacing distilled vinegar, producing a richer, more acidic emulsion than any Western mayo. The egg-to-mayo ratio has been tested and refined across decades of product development. The bread is shokupan, a Japanese milk bread that yields with almost no pressure. Triangles are restocked fresh throughout the day. There are dedicated Japanese ranking sites comparing the egg sandwich across 7-Eleven, Lawson, and Family Mart. Japan turned a picnic sandwich into a subject of national critical debate, and somehow the sandwich won. Number 3, Ikamishi. Most food is cooked in a vessel and then moved to a different one. Ikamishi removes that step. The Hokkaido Ekaben train station lunchbox, sold by Abe Schouten at Mori Station since 1941, uses a whole squid as its own cooking vessel. Glutinous rice is packed inside the squid body before anything is heated. The squid is then simmered for 90 minutes in a seasoned soy broth. As it cooks, the squid contracts, compressing the rice inside and forcing the broth into every grain. The rice absorbs the cooking liquid from within the squid and the soy broth from outside simultaneously. You slice through the body, and each piece is seasoned rice fully encased in tender squid that has had 90 minutes to flavor it from every direction. Japan decided the best pot for cooking squid rice was the squid itself. Number 4, Basashi. Raw horse meat sounds like the one thing that shouldn't work as a food idea. Kumamoto Prefecture has been proving otherwise since the 1600s. Basashi is chilled. Raw horse meat, sliced thin, served with grated fresh ginger, sliced garlic, and soy sauce. The flavor is cleaner and sweeter than raw beef because of a specific physiological difference. Horses store excess energy as glycogen in their muscles rather than fat. When the muscle is sliced and the cell structure is disrupted, that glycogen converts to simple sugars. The result is a meat with natural sweetness and a texture closer to tuna sashimi than anything you'd expect from a land animal. No gamminess, no iron-heavy aftertaste. The first bite is the moment you stop thinking about what it is and start wondering why nobody told you about this sooner. Number 5. Shirokuma. Standard shaved ice is a cup of ground ice with syrup poured on top. Kagoshima Shirokuma builds the dessert from the inside out. Sweetened, condensed milk, red bean paste, white beans, mochi balls, and mandarin pieces are layered into the ice mold before shaving, not added on top afterward. As the ice is shaved down, these elements emerge layer by layer as you eat, so the texture and flavor change with every spoonful depending on how deep you've gone. The Tenmankan Mujaki Cafe in Kagoshima City, which originated the recipe in 1947, serves the full version in a bowl the size of a mixing bowl, with fruit arranged into a bear face across the surface. The condensed milk seeps through the ice as it melts, preventing the empty flavor collapse of standard shaved ice. Japan buried the toppings inside the dessert and produced something that gets better the deeper you go. Number 6. Mentaiko pasta. Italy invented pasta. Japan invented something you can do with pasta that Italy somehow never thought of. Mentaiko pasta uses raw karashi mentaiko, spicy pollock roe, stirred directly into hot pasta off the heat with butter, shredded nori, and shiso leaves. The residual heat from the noodles partially cooks the outer membrane of the roe without setting the interior, leaving each egg with a texture midway between raw and cooked, still intact under light pressure but yielding immediately when bitten. The saltiness, spice, and umami from the cured roe become the entire sauce without any added liquid. Assembly takes less time than a carbonara. The flavor combination, starchy noodles, salty spiced fish roe, clean green from the shiso, slight bitter from the nori, does not exist in any other food culture. Japan looked at a bowl of pasta and decided it needed fish eggs, and was correct. Number 7. Dashimaki tamago at Gyokucho, Nishiki Market. Most omelets are eggs and heat. The dashimaki tamago, sold at Gyokucho in Kyoto's Nishiki Market, is a different category of object entirely. Dashi stock, brewed from kombu and katsuobushi, is whisked into the egg at a ratio of roughly 1 part dashi to 3 parts egg. The mixture is cooked in 4 separate pours across a rectangular copper pan, each layer added before the previous fully sets, then rolled over it to build a layered cylinder. The dashi keeps the interior steaming as the outer layers set, producing a center closer in texture to warm custard than cooked egg. They are sold on a stick, still hot from the pan. You are expected to eat them within 10 minutes. The residual heat continues cooking the interior past the ideal temperature if you wait. The stall opens at 9. The line starts at 8:30. Japan put soup inside an egg and got a crowd. If you are enjoying this so far, go ahead and tap like. It tells YouTube you want more of Japan's wild food culture. And if you love discovering things you did not even know existed, hit subscribe so you do not miss the rest of this list. Trust me, number 9 alone is worth staying for. Number 8, Hitsumabushi. Eating something delicious one way is normal. Nagoya's Hitsumabushi system insists you eat the same dish 3 different ways in the same sitting and figure out which version you prefer. A lacquered wooden ohitsu container arrives with chopped broiled eel over rice. For the first portion, eat it plain. For the second, add wasabi, nori, and mitsuba herb and mix. For the third, pour hot dashi broth over everything and eat it as ochazuke, a soup. The eel is cut from the same batch each time. The cooking does not change, but the flavor shifts completely depending on what surrounds it. The third stage, eel dissolved into broth, produces something closer to a refined clear soup than anything you associate with a rice dish. Atsuda Hauraiken in Nagoya has served Hitsumabushi since 1873. Japan decided that eating something delicious once per meal was not sufficient. Number 9. Shirako. This is the one. Shirako is the sperm sac of cod, fugu, or anglerfish, served at high-end Japanese restaurants primarily in winter when quality peaks. Grilled on skewers, dressed in ponzu, or added to nabe hot pot, the flavor, and this is the part almost everyone reports, is completely unexpected. Mild, rich, oceanic without being fishy, with a texture somewhere between warm custard and sea urchin. It contains no sulfurous compounds to produce the strong flavors associated with organ meat. The richness comes from a high phospholipid content with none of the accompanying gaminess. In Tokyo, specialist restaurants plate ponzu-dressed shirako for 3,000 yen per serving. People who do not know what it is consistently describe it as the best thing on the table. The name tends to come up after, not before. Japan serves something that should not be this good, and lets the experience happen before the explanation. Number 10, mazasoba. Every ingredient in a standard ramen bowl competes for flavor inside 300 milliliters of broth. Mazasoba removes the broth entirely and forces everything to concentrate directly onto the noodles. The system, developed at Fungi in Shinjuku in 2011, builds a sauce base in the bowl before the noodles arrive. Tare, lard, sesame oil, soy, and a raw egg yolk. Hot, thick noodles go on top. You mix everything until the sauce coats every strand and the yolk breaks into the fat base. A scoop of minced pork sits on top. No dilution, no temperature loss to broth, no flavor dispersal. The noodle-to-flavor ratio is roughly 3 times higher than standard ramen. Fungi has had a queue outside since the year it opened. Japan took the broth out of ramen and produced the most concentrated version of the same noodle in a completely different category. Number 11, Hokkaido Soft Serve. Soft serve is soft serve almost everywhere. Hokkaido Soft Serve is built from different raw materials. Hokkaido dairy cows graze on pasture that produces milk with a fat content between 4 and 4.5%, compared to the 3.5% standard in most commercial milk. The higher fat produces more pronounced natural sweetness from increased lactose concentration, a creamier base, and a longer finish, because fat coats the palate and extends flavor contact. Soft serve made from this milk, available at roadside stops, airport shops, and dairy farms throughout Hokkaido, produces a side-by-side comparison where standard soft serve tastes like a version with water added. It is available in vanilla, melon, lavender, and seasonal varieties. The plain Hokkaido milk version is the best argument in existence for why fat content is not a technicality. Japan grew better grass and turned it into better ice cream. Number 12, Shio Koji Marinade. Most marinades coat the surface of meat and stop there. Shio Koji works through the protein structure from inside. It's a fermented paste of rice, water, and salt, inoculated with Aspergillus oryzae, the same mold used in sake and miso production. The mold produces protease enzymes that break peptide bonds in muscle fiber, reducing structural toughness measurably over 24 to 48 hours in the refrigerator. Amylase enzymes convert remaining starches to simple sugars simultaneously, adding natural sweetness without any added sugar in the marinade. Coat chicken thighs, refrigerate overnight, and cook normally. The result is visibly more tender on the fork, doesn't dry out under high heat, and carries a developed sweetness that came from inside the meat, not from a sauce. Japan put a mold on chicken and made it taste like better chicken. No other technique produces the same result from the same number of ingredients. Number 13, Karaage Double Fry. Standard fried chicken is fried once. Torisei in Fushimi, Kyoto fries theirs twice, and the difference is audible before you take a bite. The marinade, made from soy, sake, mirin, ginger, and garlic, penetrates the chicken at Torisei for 72 hours, 3 times longer than the commercial standard. The first fry, at 160 degrees for 4 minutes, cooks the interior through completely. The chicken is pulled and rested for 3 minutes while surface moisture redistributes. The second fry, at 190 degrees for exactly 30 seconds, drives that surface moisture to steam instantly, creating micro blisters across the coating that produce a shattering crust rather than a hard one. Because the flavor is in the meat after 72 hours of marinating, the crust is structure, not the point. Japan decided that fried chicken required 2 different frying temperatures, a 3-minute rest, and 3 days of preparation to be done correctly. Number 14. Katsu Sando at Mason, Aoyama. A tonkatsu is satisfying. A katsu sando from Mason in Aoyama, Tokyo, is a different argument. Mason uses kurabuta, black pig from Kagoshima, a breed with significantly higher intramuscular fat than standard white pork, breaded in a medium panko crumb and fried in lard at 170 degrees for 7 minutes, rendering the internal fat fully without drying the lean muscle. The cutlet goes onto shokupan cut to exactly 2 centimeters, tonkatsu sauce on one side, Japanese mustard on the other. Crusts are removed. The sandwich is pressed to laminate bread to cutlet before being cut through once. People queue for the takeaway version before opening. There is no reservation available for a sandwich. A katsu sando is a sandwich. Mason's version is a reason to plan a trip around it. Number 15. Japanese cotton cheesecake. A standard cheesecake is dense, cold, and rich. Japan looked at that and built the opposite. Japanese cotton cheesecake, popularized by Rikuro Ojisan in Osaka and Uncle Tetsu in Fukuoka, folds a Japanese meringue into cream cheese batter, with egg whites whipped to a stiff peak and incorporated just before baking. The cake bakes in a water bath at 160 degrees for 70 minutes, which regulates internal temperature and prevents the egg white proteins from tightening into a firm structure. The result is a cake with an interior texture closer to a warm souffle than any cheesecake you have had before. It jiggles when it comes out of the oven. It sinks slightly as it cools. This is intentional. It is the structural signal that the meringue set correctly. Eaten warm, within 30 minutes of baking, the center is still trembling on the plate. Japan took cheesecake and made it weightless. Number 16. Kakigori at Himitsudo, Yanaka. Kakigori at a convenience store is a summer snack. Kakigori at Himitsudo in Yanaka, Tokyo, is a reason to arrive before they open. Himitsudo uses ice blocks frozen slowly over 2 years in filtered water at a facility in Nikko, Tochigi. Slow freezing expels dissolved air and minerals, producing optically clear ice with a crystalline structure that fractures into significantly thinner flakes than standard compressed or fast frozen ice. The shaving machine at a fine blade setting produces flakes comparable in weight to fresh snow. Placed on the tongue, the ice dissolves before temperature registers. The syrups, strawberry, uji matcha, and hojicha are made in-house from fresh fruit without added water. Japan spent 2 years making ice, destroyed it in 90 seconds, and produced a dessert texture that cannot be replicated anywhere else. Number 17. The Standing Wagyu Bar. A5. Wagyu normally requires a booking, a restaurant, and a bill that punishes you afterward for how good it was. Japan built a way around all of that. Tachigui, yakiniku bars, standing eat grilled meat bars in Shinjuku, Shibuya, and Namba serve A5 grade Wagyu by the individual piece at 400 to 800 yen per cut. The model removes seating, table service, and full menus. You stand at a counter, order by the piece, grill it yourself on the counter-mounted grate in under 90 seconds, and eat it immediately. No overhead from service staff. No table economics. The meat is genuine A5, BMMS marbling score 8 to 12. Accessible enough to eat 5 pieces on a Tuesday without planning for it. Japan looked at the world's best beef, removed everything surrounding it except the beef, and made it a casual lunch option. Number 18. Ichiran's private booth system. Ramen at most shops is eaten in a room full of other people. Ichiran decided that was the problem. Ichiran shops seat diners in individual booths with dividers on both sides. You order via a printed slip specifying every variable of your bowl, broth richness, noodle firmness, garlic level, spice level, quantity of chashu, and green onion quantity, and pass it through a slot. The kitchen builds the bowl to your exact specification. It arrives through a bamboo curtain that rises, reveals the bowl, and lowers again. You eat without speaking to anyone. The broth is a proprietary Hakata-style tonkotsu, adjusted against decades of customer feedback data. Ichiran operates across 60-plus locations in Japan, with wait lists at each. Japan turned ramen eating into a solo tasting experience. The length of the queues suggests removing the social element made it better. Number 19. Utsunomiya gyoza with crispy lattice. Standard pan-fried gyoza produces individual dumplings with crispy bottoms. Utsunomiya-style gyoza, from Japan's self-declared gyoza capital in Tochigi Prefecture, uses a finishing technique that connects them. After the dumplings have steamed through, a potato starch and water slurry at a 1:8 ratio is poured into the hot pan, and the lid is replaced for 90 seconds. The starch heats, sets, and bonds all dumplings at the base with a continuous lattice, a translucent, shattering membrane that links every dumpling in the pan into one connected structure. Pull one gyoza away, and the lattice tears between pieces, leaving threads of crisp starch still connecting them. The texture contrast in a single piece, soft filling, thin skin, shattering lattice, requires two structural elements in the same bite. Japan took a dumpling and gave it a connecting structure that makes it physically difficult to stop at one. Number 20. White strawberries. A red strawberry is red because it produces anthocyanins, pigments that develop as the fruit ripens and that register visually as sweetness before you taste anything. White strawberry cultivars produce no anthocyanins at all. The genes responsible for red pigmentation do not activate, leaving the fruit pale, cream white, and faintly pink tipped at full ripeness. Because the plant's energy is not directed into pigment production, more resources go to sugar development. Varieties like Hoshino Ruby and White Jewel carry a measurably higher Brix rating than standard red cultivars, typically 14 to 18 degrees Brix versus 9 to 12 degrees for red strawberries. The flavor has a pineapple-adjacent sweetness with vanilla aromatic compounds not present in red varieties. Individual fruits sell for 500 to 1,000 yen each in department store food halls. Japan bred a strawberry by removing its color, and the sweetness doubled. Number 21. Mitarashi Dango at Kamo Mitarashi Chaya, Kyoto. There are restaurants that have been open for 10 years. Kamo Mitarashi Chaya in Kyoto has been serving the same recipe for 400 years. Mitarashi Dango are 5 small rice flour dumplings on a bamboo skewer, grilled over charcoal until the surface develops a char, then glazed in a warm sauce of soy, mirin, and sugar reduced to a precise viscosity. The char creates a bitter compound at the surface of the dough. The glaze is sweet, salty, and slightly caramelized. The balance requires both. The glaze without the char is sweet and flat. The char without the glaze is bitter and dry. The stall has maintained this specific balance since the 1600s. The dango have not changed. The technique has not changed. The line outside every morning has not changed either. Japan found the recipe 400 years ago and made the correct decision to leave it exactly alone.